Hello everyone, myself Dr. Girish Kumar K. I am an assistant professor in the Department of PG Studies and Research in Biotechnology, SDM College. Today we will discuss about that one more topic is that cytoplasmic inheritance. So cytoplasmic inheritance, and it is also known as an extracellular extranuclear inheritance. Okay, so that here the cytoplasmic genes, they are responsible for that inheritance of the characters from one generation to the another generation. So these genetic characters, they are carried out by that organelles like mitochondria and plastids. Okay, so they especially present in the cytoplasm of the cell. So the inheritance of the most of the characteristics of an individual is governed by that nuclear genes. So that so they are present on the chromosomes. Okay, so whereas in case of some cases the inheritance is governed by the cytoplasmic factors or the cytoplasmic genes. Okay, so they are also responsible for the phenotypic expression of the individuals. So when these transmission of the characters from the parent to the offspring is governed by cytoplasmic genes, so it is known as an cytoplasmic inheritance, or we can also call it as an extranuclear inheritance or extra chromosomal inheritance, or even we can also call it as a non-Mendelian inheritance, or we can also say that organelle inheritance. Okay, so it is also non-Mendelian inheritance pattern. So here the extracellular cytoplasmic inheritance, so it is not follows the Mendel laws. Okay, so in the first case of this cytoplasmic inheritance was reported by that Carl Carnes in the 1909. He observed these cytoplasmic inheritance in that 4 o'clock plant. So that is commonly known as a 4 o'clock plant. The scientific name is Mirabilis jalapa. So that is that leaf color in that Mirabilis jalapa. So later on cytoplasmic inheritance was reported by various workers in the various organisms. So it is a cytoplasmic inheritance, it is also one type of maternal effects. So why we can call it as a maternal effect means to say that, so the most of the egg it is consists of cytoplasm. So we are coming to that sperm has no cytoplasm. Okay, so in case of cytoplasmic inheritance, distinct maternal effects are observed. This is mainly due to the more contribution of the cytoplasm to the zygote by the female parent than the male parent. Generally the ovum, so that will contribute the more cytoplasm to the zygote than the sperm. So that's why it is called as a maternal effect. And non-Mendelian segregation. So the inheritance pattern, Mendelian inheritance patterns exhibits typically that segregation pattern. Such typical segregation is not observed in case of cytoplasmic inheritance. So the segregation when occurs, it is different from the Mendelian segregation. So that's why we can call it as a non-Mendelian segregation. And the somatic segregation, characters which are governed by cytoplasmic genes. So usually they exhibit segregation in the somatic tissue, such as leaf irrigation, such as segregation is very rare for the nuclear genes. And usually these genes, they are governed by the plasma genes. So why? Because it is located in the cytoplasm, mitochondria, and even the plastids. So two cases of cytoplasmic inheritance are governed by the chloroplast, mitochondrial DNA. In other words, we can say that plasma genes are made up of mitochondrial DNA. So these genes, they are responsible for the inheritance pattern in the traits. So that when the expression of that character is influenced by the genotype of the female parent, so it is referred to as a maternal effect. Such characters, they will exhibit the clear cut of differences in the F1 for the reciprocal crosses. Maternal effects, they are known both the plants, animals. Some of the examples maternal effects, they are briefly we can discuss. So one such an example for that, so we can see in that the 4 o'clock plant, so that is that Mirabilis jalapa. So that leaf variations that can be seen. So the first thing is that the leaf which will seen the green, pale green, and variegated. So that green color which will appears because of that chloroplast. So whereas in the pale green, so because of that leucoplast. So variegated means to say that some chromoplast, chloroplast, and leucoplast, so they are involved in the expression of that phenotypic characteristic features. Okay, so we can consider that in the center. Okay, so that is that the green, pale green, and variegated. So this is the female branch. So in the second circle, so this we can consider as a male branch. Okay, so here also we can see that green, pale green and variegated, pale green, green and variegated. Okay, so the third one is that third one circle which is represented by that offsprings. Okay, so where exactly that offsprings, when these two cross, so they will get the characteristic features. Okay, so which color of the leaf structure that can be seen. So for example, if you take that green as a female parent, so that if you take that green as a male parent, okay, so that we may get that all these the phenotypic characters that can be seen in the green. So if you consider that green and pale green, so the pale green is which is responsible for that leucoplast. So here also we can see that. So the only the thing is that green color that appears in the offsprings. So the green which cross with that variegated, here also we can see the green color. So because there is no role of the male parent, so the only the thing is that cytoplasmic genes, so they will expression the characteristic features of these green color. Okay, so coming to that pale green. Okay, so here this is the female plant. So whereas variegated, pale green and green is the male parent. So if the pale green is crossed with that variegated, so will all the characteristic features of the leaf color which can seen in the pale green only. So coming to that pale green crossed with that pale green, so all these the F1 individuals, the offsprings that can be seen the pale green. So whereas the pale green is crossed with that green, so all the expressions, so in the offsprings we can see in the pale green. So there is no role of these male parent. So the only thing is that pale green, so which will transfer the cytoplasmic genes into the expression of the phenotypic characteristic features. Okay. So next coming to that one more is that variegated. So here we can also see that green, pale green and variegated. So these variegated female parent is crossed with that green colored male parent, so that we can get that green color, pale green and variegated. All these three possibles that can be seen in the offsprings. So coming to that variegated and pale green also, so here also we can see that green, pale green and variegated. Variegated crossed with that variegated, here also we can get that variegated, pale green and green. So all these possibility because of these maternal effect, only the female parent they can contribute the phenotypic characteristic features. Okay, so that is the mainly because of that cytoplasmic genes, so they will responsible.